Everyone who wants to play in India has realized they need to play with me.
Hi, I'm Anjali Rao on board the private jet of Indian billionaire Vijay Mallya as he invites us inside his lavish yet hectic life. This is Talk Asia. He's dubbed the king of good times. The billionaire tycoon casts a long shadow in India with high-profile launches and lavish parties. Vijay Mallya inherited an empire of different businesses at the tender age of 27, streamlining the operation and founding the Kingfisher brand. Today, his holding company, United Breweries, is worth $5 billion. Internationally, he's best known for his beer and spirits companies, recently buying whiskey makers White and Mackay, but is expanding his aviation business fast. He launched the airline in 2005 and is already looking to move into long haul with an order of 5 Airbus A380 Super Jumbos. We meet soon after he acquired Air Deccan, India's first budget carrier. Our journey begins aboard his private jet as he shuttles between meetings.
Welcome to my home.
Thank you.
My apartment.
Home away from home. You launched Kingfisher Airlines in 2005. You had zero background in the aviation industry, though. So how were you able to pull off such a coup as to turn your airline into such a success?
When we launched Kingfisher, we had certain very clear-cut parameters, brand new planes, commonality, few bases to improve efficiency and control costs. And then, of course, we did a huge market research on the name, the brand, the consumer expectations.
But it's still not
15
profiting,
years.
right?
Well, no, I mean,
Isn't
no
that
airline,
annoying when you put so much into it?
no airline in India is profitable because, you know, in any industry where the floodgates are suddenly opened, a lot of players dive in, and there is a period where there's a bloodbath, but then consolidation inevitably takes place, good sense prevails, and then everybody becomes profitable. And in a country like India, where aviation growth is almost 40% every year, I mean, it's probably one of the most attractive sectors.
And as far as expanding, you are, as I understand it, planning on taking Kingfisher to a more global level. What exactly are you intending?
We acquired Air Deccan, India's largest low-cost carrier, and with it we became India's largest airline. So UB Group has the proud pleasure of being India's largest airline within just 2 years and 2 months of launch. Going overseas is natural, there's huge growth, and while everybody else wants to emulate the established carriers of Europe and the Far East and the Middle East, I decided that the future was in non-stop, ultra-long haul travel. We're going to fly from Bangalore to San Francisco non-stop, Bangalore to New York, John F. Kennedy non-stop, and of course Bombay, London is a given.
You've also placed a new order for A380s. That model has had particular problems of the last year or so. Why have you got such faith in it?
I bought the A380 because I believe in the A380. I know they've had delivery problems, but that's not uncommon for any new aircraft that's so different and so revolutionary in terms of technology. So while there's a delay on one hand, I have to say that the A380 to me still remains an extremely compelling, profitable proposition.
The next part of our journey takes us into the heart of Kingfisher territory. The coastal state of Goa at the height of the monsoon season. Kingfisher say 90% of the beer sold here is theirs. And it's the location of Mallya's seaside retreat. What you're known for, I suppose, internationally is your beer business, Kingfisher beer to be exact. How did you turn that beverage industry into the multi-million or billion even dollar business that it is today?
When I was straight out of high school and I went to do my graduation, I was actually working as well. That's when, while going through the archives of United Breweries, which was a British company my father bought in 1947, I stumbled across this label of a Kingfisher beer that had been launched in the 1850s, but was no longer in production and sale. And something excited me about Kingfisher, you know, the bird. I saw color, I saw vibrancy, I saw movement, I saw a bit of cheekiness, you know, the Kingfisher sort of fishing. And so I went to my father and asked him, I said, you know, I want to relaunch this brand and I want ₹1 million for it. And ₹1 million, I mean, he threw me out of the office. Finally, with a great deal of persuasion, you know, I got a small budget. So I went to various colleges and interviewed youngsters, 17, 18, 19-year-old, asked them whether they drink beer, what kind of beer they drank. And I found out very quickly that the youngsters in India had a whole lot of aspiration, and they wanted to live a more free, more Western-oriented life, because India, since independence, has been a very controlled sort of socialist economy. So I decided that Kingfisher would be a lifestyle brand, positioned on a lifestyle platform. So we started sponsoring music events, we started sponsoring sporting events, we started putting Kingfisher into yachting and fashion. So Kingfisher over the last 30 years has grown into sort of the generic name for lifestyle in India. I mean, if you talk to anyone on the street and ask him about Kingfisher, the first thing that will come to mind is the good life or the good times.
You also recently won your multi-million-dollar bid for White & Mackay Scotch whisky, which is traditionally a very Scottish brand. Why was that such a focus for you as an Indian?
You know, United Spirits, with all its brands that I just mentioned, with a huge market share, was addressing the opportunities in India going forward. But focusing on the Indian consumer and growing aspirations, it was extremely clear to me that one day the youngsters would start demanding Scotch whisky. And that was a huge gap in my portfolio because, you know, being an Indian company, we could never produce Scotch. So there was a compelling reason for me to actually make an acquisition of Scotch whisky assets and production capabilities. On the other side, we actually use Scotch whisky to blend our Indian whiskies, and we were dependent on major Scotch whisky companies to source this raw material.
So, Vijay, apparently you once said that you wanted this house to make people go weak at the knees. Tell us a little bit about it. I'm definitely feeling shaky and it's nothing to do with these heels.